Hi, and welcome to Sadda Squad, another edition of our daily show, which is going to look at all things around Punjab Kings. Today, obviously, is the day after yesterday when we weren't able to bring it home, and and it's disappointing, but it's also reassuring that we've got one bad day of the office out of the way, and we're going to go forward, come back home to Mohali and take that. Today we have Ritz from Dubai, the umpire's call. So we have the umpire's call with us that will give us an insight of what happened yesterday. And we have one of our super fans in Aman from Mohali. So he's in the center of the action. Aman, to you first. Aman, disappointed yesterday. How do you feel today?
Uh, it's good that I've got like at least 8 hours or like 10 hours, 15 hours after that, so that I can address my concerns in a more better way. But what I feel was that it was looking like as if like Shikhar is batting on another wicket and all the other batsmen are batting on a very tricky wicket. So what I really was disappointed to see was the match awareness of our players. But speaking overall, I feel given how calm the team is and given how calmly Shikhar Dhawan is leading the squad, I feel we are in a safe pair of hands, and we shouldn't we shouldn't look at this defeat at like what, okay, this is what the way has been, and it's high time that we move forward now from that thinking as well.
Yes, I think this is what we panic about. Is when we lose the game, the fans start thinking, "Oh, what's happened? Let's make changes. Let's make changes." I think it's time for us to focus and then use the strength. Obviously, we have Barda coming in and Livy coming in is going to boost us. But Ritz, from your perspective, what happened? What went wrong for Punjab yesterday, and what can they rectify in the next game?
I think the first point is what Aman has highlighted: the fact that when Shikhar Dhawan's batting at one end so beautifully, and he's the captain and he's leading from the front, it's just common sense on the part of the other players to just stick around, to give him the strike, to rotate the strike. Everybody does not have to go for big shots. At the end of the innings, actually from the 15th over onwards, Shikhar Dhawan had to rotate the strike, keep hitting the balls for the first 4 or 5 balls of every over, and then take a single just because he had only one batsman at the other end at the end of the innings. That is just not acceptable at a professional level. You have international players who are playing a league as highly respected as the IPL. You need to have basic match awareness to be there with your captain, with the batsman who's batting really, really well at the other end, and aim to play out 20 overs. Shikhar Dhawan went to a point where he just couldn't take singles and stuff at all. He just couldn't take singles and all and rotate the strike because he just did not have anybody else to rely on. And other than Shikhar, the only other double figures was from Sam Curran for 22. That says a lot about how poorly the batting lineup matched up against how they should have played and paced the innings. That was for me the most disappointing aspect.
Yes, and for us as neutral, as fans as well, I think we caught Sunrisers on a good day. Obviously, they've had two very poor performances. They brought back the danger man. Soon as I knew Marco Janssen was playing, I thought he's going to do really well against us. And obviously, Adrian Markram and Ralph Departier's space fit really well. Aman, our thinking to spin, I think that's one area we've got to improve in the next game.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, our batting towards spin. I think spin caused us a lot of
Yeah.
problems yesterday as well. We need to improve that part of the area because Sunrisers did really well there.
No, that's very true. In fact, like the next opposition that we have, I think that's the perfect opportunity for us to rectify that, given that we have a genius called Rashid Khan coming in with a hat trick. But it's high time that we rectify that. The good thing is that in the previous encounters against KKR and Rajasthan, we've dominated their frontline spinners. So that's one positive that we can back ourselves to make sure that we counter that in the next game effectively. But what I also feel is that the batsmen need to learn like how do you approach an innings. I don't want to have a microscopic view and judge them based on one performance. But if you look at even Rahul Tripaঠি's innings, he needed those 20 balls, and he was and he was just like striking around like 60-65% of the strike rate. That's how you want to be in a match, and make sure that you convert those starts, even though there's like a patchy start to the innings, and hence convert into big scores. I think that is the biggest difference that we would like to see in the next game.
Yes, and I think the mantra is to see the power play over within 6 overs and maximum lose 1 wicket. I think we were quite unlucky with the umpires' calls yesterday. So who better to ask than Ritz on that one, because there were 3 which were, umpires' calls. I thought very highly that perhaps Simrans was probably unlucky, and the other one was quite unlucky as well. Umpires' positions and making these calls, it's a big part of the game, isn't it?
For both,
I think you're on mute. Yeah.
It's an inevitable part of the game. It is a big part of the game, yes, but it's an inevitable part of the game. It's something that both teams have to accept. Both teams have to be judicious about how they take their reviews, given the fact that if you feel, for example, that a decision could be borderline and could go in the favor of the batsman when you're appealing for an LBW, for example, and you feel that it might just get over on umpire's call, fair enough, take that review. Because even if it's umpire's call, then you retain that review. However, if you don't and you're on the receiving end of it, then you end up probably losing a review as well. So you have to be very, very careful and judicious about it. But I think more than just umpire's calls and close decisions, yesterday's game in particular, if I were to go back to that again, were more about application, was about looking at playing out strategically the right sort of bowlers. Aman was mentioning about the next game and having Rashid Khan, for example, in the opposition. Rashid Khan's going to come at you hard, but he's going to come at you for only 4 overs. Fine, you might not be able to milk him for way too many runs, but you can milk him for a few and not give him too many wickets and then try and target the other bowlers, right? That's the sort of planning that you would expect players other than Shikhar Dhawan to learn from. They need to learn how to pace that innings. They need to know which bowlers to take on. They need to know when to rotate the strike, which bowlers to hold back on. For example, a Rashid Khan, for example, a Nokia, for example, if they were to, whoever they are, balance them out in a way that you maximize your chances of scoring big against some of the lesser experienced bowlers and try and capitalize on that.
Yes, and that's the big thing. If you look at our batting lineup, it is that lack of experience that we do have, and that's what I'm saying. When Liam comes back, that gives us that big match experience there, and also some of the young Indian batsmen that we possibly have, them given a chance to come into the team as well. Going on to the Mohali factor, 2 games away. We've won 1, we've lost 1. How important is Mohali to us, Aman?
I think Mohali is really very important for us because, like the way we play, the people that we have in the squad, I feel that the Mohali wicket suits them. So it's very important that we use that particular wicket and make sure that we play in the bold way that we've always been playing, and make sure that we convert those games into victories. Because what I feel is that we will be traveling to Chennai later in the month. We will be traveling to other places as well. So there, the wickets might start playing against us. I'm not saying that we're not capable of handling it, but I feel given that it's Mohali, we should bank on 5 to 5 home games win.
Yes, and that is the home form gets you to qualification. Win a few away games, and you're in business at the business end of the IPL, and that's where we want to be. Ritz, final question: do you think Punjab will make any changes going into the next game against Gujarat Titans?
Well, I think the batting in the middle orders is a bit of a concern for me. I think if they have a way to stem that rot, to try and figure out whether they can sort of play around with those pockets in a bit in the middle. I don't know, based on the latest series. Apparently, there were a few injuries and all that were coming to light today, so I'm really not sure who will be available. But I think if you look at the centre bits, Sikandar Raza of late has been playing well, right, in international cricket. Why not try and push him up a little bit so that it eases out a bit of a space in the latter half of the middle order, and maybe you can pull in an impact player there. Is that an option? If so, it gives somebody like Shikhar Dhawan a bit more freedom to play a bit more freely up front. And then if somebody like a Sikandar Raza comes up a bit higher up as well, then that experience gels well with him. I've been surprised with, well, it's early days yet, but I think Sam Curran is a key factor. And I think, again, he needs to be used better as well. Bring him up front. He's a very, very talented all-rounder. Get him more chances to bat more overs. Let him settle in. We've seen, Paji, over the years, Aman, you will probably agree as well, over the years, the batsmen who've done really, really well in the IPL over the years have been players who played good cricket shots, who have settled themselves in, who know how to choose the right deliveries to hit, right? Give those batsmen the chance to play as many balls as they can. Let them take a few overs just to settle in, because then they can really step up the run rate, the strike rate towards the back end and contribute heavily towards the team. We saw a prime example was how Shikhar Dhawan paced his innings himself, how Rahul Tripathi paced his innings himself in the second half of the game yesterday, right? So give them the chance to settle in, give them a few overs, over and a half to settle in, and let them play their natural game. But for that, you have to let the key players, you have to give the key players the chance to come up higher and play more.
Yes, and that's it. The more balls the top players have, the more runs we'll get. So I think we've learned a valuable lesson there. Basically, trying to see outside the power play, play a bit more sensibly, and then fit in the batsmen in their right positions, and we'll be all right, because I still believe our bowling is very superior. We could have brought in Rabada yesterday, and that just strengthens our bowling even further. Guys, thank you for joining us. Please join us on more Sadda Squad stuff. Join us on YouTube, join us on Instagram, and take care. God bless, and we'll see you before the Gujarat Titans game. Jasba hai Punjabi. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.